This is absolutely shocking. This is shocking. This is newly uncovered shocking confession, and it's not the man who was convicted. It's the man whose property the victims were found on. His name is Ron Logan. He was a person of interest in the beginning. He is someone who was investigated. They executed a search warrant of his property. He lied about where he was that day, made up an alibi, tried to get someone to lie for him about his alibi that day. That is who this new information is about. Ron Logan. Folks, I've got to apologize. I'm a little late. This is insane. My blood sugar crashed just before I was about to go on after a workout this morning. So I may have to stop. I may have to continue to intake glucose, but this is too important. This is too radically shocking that we've got a confession from the man whose property the girls were found, the victims in the case. There's more, and there is more. I'm going to cover it in this live stream. I'm Vinny Politan, and this is Vinny Live.
Hey, get ready, get set, let's go.
It's true crime, streaming live, worldwide. It's Vinny Live. It's true crime, streaming live, worldwide. It's Vinny Live. Get ready to post inside the chat. Get ready for the prosecutor hat. Get set to like and to subscribe. Let's go. It's time for Vinny Live.
All right, here we go. Oh man, I gotta get the blood sugar under control. It crashed. A good workout, but it crashed. All right, here we go. It's time for Vinny Live. All right, this is a shocking confession. It absolutely is. Let me get to the bottom of it. Ron Logan, you know who he is, I think, if you've been following the case. If you haven't, I will tell you. Ron Logan owns the property where the girls were found. Ron Logan had some issues because he was on parole. Ron Logan lied about where he was that day, tried to get someone to lie, someone to provide an alibi for him that day. Ron Logan is someone who spoke at length, and she was on my show last night, Barbara McDonald. She's a Court TV senior producer. And she spoke to this guy for hours and hours and hours. So I asked her, I said, did Ron Logan confess to you? She said, no, never confessed to me. What he said to me was, they can never prove I did it. What? What? They can never prove I did it versus I didn't do it? You see, I didn't do it is in a court of law. That's like saying I'm innocent. They can't prove I did it. That's like not guilty. And there's a difference between not guilty and innocent, right? There's no difference for the purposes of if you've been accused of a crime. However, they can't prove I did it. Like if someone asked you if you did this and you said, well, they can't prove I did it. What does that mean? What on earth does that mean? That's what this guy said. That's what he said. That's what he said to Barbara McDonald, who spoke to him and walked the property with him, etc. You know, she always got a little bit of a strange feeling spending time with this guy. But wow. Okay. So what exactly is this new confession? I'm going to walk through it. Now, it comes from defense papers, but it comes from defense papers based upon digging through all of the tips. So somewhere in this pile of tips that they've been going through, they found this. Okay, so let's take a look. I'm going to walk through this. I can make myself smaller here so we can see this. Here we go. Okay. 5/15/2017. That's the first important thing you have to understand. Okay. 5/15 is just a few months after all this, while it's still an unsolved crime, a high-profile unsolved crime in Indiana, in Delphi. Ricky Davis, Department of Corrections number 114393, is currently incarcerated. Okay. So let's start here. Excuse me while I chew. It's just glucose. Again, feeling a little lightheaded. I had juice. I'm just waiting for it to take effect, but I didn't want to delay the live stream even more. Uh-oh. My audio is low quality? Is that better? Is my audio better? People are saying low quality audio. Is the audio better? Is my audio good? How is my audio? People are complaining about the audio. Should I listen? Should I listen myself? Oh my goodness, my microphone. What's wrong? I'm playing with my microphone. La, 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 la. Check 1 2 1 2. Can you hear me? All right, let's see what's going on here. Muffled. All right, I will fix the audio. This is a disaster. This is a disaster. I gotta get into this whole thing here now. Wait a second. All right, this is a problem. Is the mic on? Can you hear me now? 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 Jade Perp says it's good. Audio fine. It's kind of echoing. Vinny sounds good to me. Some are saying good. Fine. Are we good? Boop, boop. 1 2 1 2. It's not you. Yes, it's good. I'm getting thumbs up. Good. If it sounds great, if it sounds good, everybody give me a thumbs up. Do something here. Yes, better. It's better. Okay, I hit some button. I don't know what it is. All right, it's good. People are saying it's good. Okay. Everything's going haywire today. The blood sugar, the microphone. Like, what is going on? It's one of those days. Okay. People are saying it's good. If they can hear me in South Africa, you got to be able to hear me in the States. We got a lot of thumbs up. Okay, good. We fixed it. Thank you, folks. All right. Ricky Davis, incarcerated at new correctional facility, business address, blah, blah, blah. Received a call from Davis advising he is in the same block as Ron Logan. Ron Logan, owner of the land where the Delphi homicide took place. Logan is in prison for a parole violation. Logan confessed to Ricky step by step of unaliving the two girls. Logan told Ricky how he burned his clothes in a fire pit and where it was located, used box cutters, struggled with one of the girls, thought drops of blood from his nose ended up on their clothes. Ricky also advised that he, meaning Ron Logan, unalived the older girl first. Blank said Ricky wants nothing from this but justice for the girls. So Ricky's incarcerated, calls someone who then contacts the tip line, okay? So the tip line. So this is like double hearsay at this point. But there's more. There's more to it. So there are actual notes from an actual, make sure I'm in the right spot here. Okay. What you're looking at right now, where is it? Okay. What you're looking at right now is the defense. Again, it's a little bit slow because my head, I got to get the blood sugar back up. The defense transcribed handwritten notes that were taken from an interview with Ricky Davis, who is the inmate housed with Ron Logan, who says Ron Logan confessed to him. Now, I always say this, take every jailhouse confession with a huge grain of sodium chloride, right? Is that what it is? Sodium chloride? Salt? Huge grain of salt. Why? Because they're always looking for something. Now, this guy said he didn't want anything but justice for the girls. But Scorpion is saying you can't hear me. What's going on here? Some people are saying they can't hear me. What is going on? Oh, Sub Russ, oh heck, this isn't new. Sub Russ is saying, heck, this isn't new. Well, it's from a new filing from the defense. All right, people can hear me. Some can't. I don't know. I can't figure that out. The newness of this. The defense just filed a motion to preserve the evidence. They want evidence preserved in this case. What they're saying is that Ron Logan confessed to another inmate. Jailhouse confessions. Should we trust jailhouse confessions, right? That's what this is all is about, right? So this is a jailhouse confession from Ron Logan. Okay. So I might have the wrong mic. Is this the mic that's on? Boom, boom, boom. Is that the mic that is providing the feed here? It's a little muffled. You got to turn it up today. I don't think I can fix it at this point. I don't think I can fix it. I don't know what happened. All right, so this is the microphone. Okay, so this microphone's not working right now. That's maddening to me as to why that would happen. Can I fix that? I might be able to fix that. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? This is crazy. Now it's back. You can hear me now? Better? Yes, 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 yes. All right, whatever. I can't figure it out. This is beyond my abilities on a low blood sugar to fix this for you. So let's get to the content. Let's get to the meat of all of this, okay? The meat is, we're talking about jailhouse confession. But don't forget, Richard Allen was convicted on a jailhouse confession. So if you're going to give that confession some weight, let's take a look at this jailhouse confession as well by Ron Logan. Just months after is when this is reported. This is May of 2015. So we're looking at transcribed notes, transcribed by the defense of some it was cursive, so it was difficult to really decipher, but they deciphered it, okay? All right. They claim that he started talking, that it was ironic, and that they should have been in school. Ron Logan says to one of the girls that he knew one of their moms who waitressed at a bar. I don't know, maybe it's true, maybe it's not. Was talking about animals, walked with them, and they were willing to go check out the horses. Ron Logan owns horses and a barn. He told them he also had rabbits in the barn and that they walked through the trail in the woods. The oldest, or at least who appeared the oldest to Ron Logan, didn't want to go, was paranoid. The youngest wanted to see the horses. So this is what's being described in this alleged confession by the other inmate. The oldest turned to help the youngest. The oldest started looking and kicking. The youngest seemed, now he grabs the oldest. He said he got hit on the nose and he got blood on one of the girls. So the girls are fighting back. He pulled out a box cutter. Box cutter. This is in 2017. In 2017, nobody even knows how they died. None of that was public, let alone the instrument that was used. The testimony of the expert from the prosecution at the trial was that it was a box cutter. And then there was testimony that Richard Allen had a whole bunch of box cutters. Well, before that, you've got an inmate saying that Ron Logan said he used a box cutter. And this is back in 2017. That's the significance of this. The instrument that was used and how they died. Nobody knew how they died. This was not public information. So either Ron Logan is confessing or this inmate is making this up and guessed right on the instrument that was used and how the girls were taken. He also said he took the little girl with him for a while, never said where. He said he cut her, both necks. Okay? This is either a guess by the inmate who is making this up to try to get some deal for whatever reason, or Ron Logan is telling him this information. It continues. He left again, came back later in the evening while the search was going on. Later on, late hours, tried to move the oldest one to the area where he's not going to be found. Place where four-wheelers go. Burned his clothes in a burn pile. Hiking, walking, boots, gloves, bag. Okay. Okay, so now let's examine this. All of this stuff could be either corroborated or disproved. All of it. That's all from these notes in this confession. So this is pretty significant evidence. It's evidence the jury didn't hear. It's evidence the jury was not permitted to hear. They weren't permitted to hear anything about Ron Logan. So how much of a problem is that? Is that fair? Now, let me just say, and I want this to be very clear, because I've been saying this the whole time. I have no opinion on who committed this crime because I didn't see the trial because the judge banned cameras and microphones from the courtroom, despite the fact that Indiana changed the law to allow cameras and microphones inside of the courtroom. But this judge chose not to allow it. Also chose to not allow electronics inside the courtroom. So the only thing you can get the transcripts now. But let me tell you, transcripts are much different than watching a trial. Much different. Extremely different. I can't see and hear the evidence. I can't come up with an opinion based upon what's inside the courtroom. I just know the things that have been excluded. And number one, I'm shocked that they were. Shocked. And now you get into this confession. Well, what makes this confession less credible than the confession of Richard Allen? Now remember, Richard Allen, before he was incarcerated, denied all of it, right? So he didn't confess on the outside. He confessed. It's a jailhouse confession. So now we got to weigh the jailhouse confessions, but the jury only gets to hear one. Only gets to hear about one person's alleged confession versus someone else's alleged confession. Again, I'm not opining on this, on who did it, because I haven't seen all the evidence, but this is evidence that a jury at a minimum should know about in deciding a case. Let's talk about what's important about coming back later in the evening. Again, from prosecution or investigators' evidence, to execute a search warrant of Ron Logan's property, they had to file an affidavit, a sworn statement. And one of the sworn statements was that Ron Logan at 10:16 that night, his phone was out on the property near where the girls were found. At 10:16. So in this alleged confession, Ron Logan, according to this inmate, is saying that he came back later in the night and his phone was there later in the night. Right? Like, is that something a jury should hear? Because let me tell you, if they had charged Ron Logan in this case, all of this would be admissible. They didn't charge Ron Logan. They can't charge Ron Logan because Ron Logan is no longer alive. This is evidence. This is evidence in a case. How much weight you give it? Well, that's depends upon the jury. The soles of the boots will be in a burn pile. The next morning, 2 other girls knocked on his door to ask to search the property. He felt weird if he said no. He let them take off. Got a hold of a family member and got out of the area. These are what the notes say. These are the notes by the investigator interviewing the man who allegedly Ron Logan confessed to. Let's see what else comes from those notes. Head, neck, artery, happened to friend to stand there during the struggle. Youngest girls talked about a struggle. First time he's seen them from the property. It's hard to make out exactly what these notes, but you get. Okay, this is another piece of evidence on another issue that I'll get to right now because I want to get to your comments as well today. This is screenshots of a video with a timestamp on it. Okay, the timestamp was off by 12 hours. AM, PM, PM, AM, but it's clearly not 2:44 a.m. But this is 2:44 in the afternoon on the day that these girls were taken from this earth. The prosecutor was extremely clear from the information I've gotten from the courtroom that the TOD, time of death, 2:30, 2:32, last activity on the phone. The phone stops moving. That's the time. The prosecutor was very specific in his argument and in his timeline of this case. And he said that Richard Allen was going to essay the girls, but was interrupted because there was a white van driven by Brad Weber coming back from work. And because of that van, then he moved somewhere else. So that van would have interrupted him sometime before 2:32. But now there is video. Again, that was part of the discovery of what appears to be a white van on its way to the area at 2:44. At 2:44. So this is after. This is after prosecutors say they're gone, but this is the van that, according to the prosecution timeline, arrived earlier and interrupted the essay. Now, the timestamp could be wrong. I guess I didn't calibrate it. But the timestamp and the red circle shows where I'm going to show you the video, but it's hard to see anything. They did a nice job in the papers they filed here circling it so you kind of get an idea of where it is and you get an idea of the time. And then they zoom in on it and you can see, is it a white Econoline van? Okay, I'll make it bigger. Does that look like a white Econoline van. It does to me. It does to me. On the left side is the back. And then you kind of see the windows. And then underneath, you can see it's white. Obviously, very pixelated, zoomed in, etc. But this would blow up the prosecutor's timeline that he argued to the jury. Now, if the timeline is wrong, does that mean that this is a not guilty? No. No, but his timeline's wrong. The argument he made to the jury is wrong. So the facts are off. I mean, you can't dispute that if this video is correct. If the timestamp is correct on this video at 2:44, that means what the prosecutor argued to the jury was not true. That Brad Weber in his white Econoline van interrupted the essay before 2:30. Be impossible based upon this video. But you have to accept the video. Do you? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But prosecutors have put that in. And have filed their papers to preserve the evidence. And obviously they're going to fight for a new trial. And they want all this to be part of the new trial. Because they say this is evidence. This video does not fit the prosecutor's timeline. To me, that's problematic. Remember what I always say about the prosecution. Their obligation is to one thing and one thing only: the truth. The only way you get justice is through the truth. Truth and justice. Truth is justice. Justice is truth. It's the only job that a prosecutor has, is to get to the truth. That's when you get justice. But that argument is not the truth. That argument is not the truth. Take a closer look at this. I'm going to try to zoom in. I don't know if I can zoom in. If this is at 2:44, it's after 2:32, the entire timeline is off. So now you are not arguing the truth to the jury. That's a problem. That's a huge problem. You can't do that. That's not your job. All right, now let me show you the video. I'll keep this up because I have the video. The video is, here it is. This is the raw video. You got to look to the top left and look for a little speckle driving by so you can see how much it's been zoomed in. I mean, you really got to look to that top left. There it goes. You see the little speckle moving? That's it. It's tiny. It's small. And you see the time, 2:44. Now I'm going to zoom in on this video so you can take another look at it, but let's zoom in. I'm going to zoom in here. There we go. Let me back it up just a little bit. Let me back it up. Back. All right. So take a look. It's going to be zoomed in, and look for this speckle again. It'll be starting from left to right, from left to right. Left to right. There she goes. There goes the van. Take a look. Take a look. And it's behind the trees now. More difficult to see. There, you can see it, still going. Are you watching? I can see it. Still moving. And now I'm losing it. Now I'm losing it. All right, I'm going to zoom in even more. Do one more zoom for you. I'm zooming in more. This is surveillance video from a home. Prosecutors had this since the beginning. Buried in the discovery. Let me see if I can zoom this. I think I do one more zoom. Oh, here it is. This is the ultimate zoom. Here we go. This is the ultimate zoom. Let's see if we see it. Should be coming up any second. There we go. I see movement on the left. There it goes. There goes the van. There it goes. Now the clearest image is what the defense had. They had time to go through this piece by piece. So if the timestamp is right and accurate, and this is Brad Weber coming home from work at 2:44, don't forget his phone is pinging at 2:50. His phone is pinging at 2:50. Oh, I zoomed it even more. One more zoom. Let's see what we can see here. One more zoom. There you can see some movement. There it goes. Now you really got to peel your eyes. And I'll go back to their pictures. I mean, their images to me are the clearest here. Which is right. Let me find it. There we have it. I'm trying to get back to that point right here. So they have it circled. They have it circled, and then here it is. That's the best you're going to get. That's the best you're going to get. Right there. That's the best you're going to get. But it's white. I mean, to me, it's white. It's got the window shaping of a van in the back and on the side. So that's a problem. That's a problem. You can't make an argument that's not true. In what world do we make arguments that aren't true? Makes no sense. No sense. So you've got a jailhouse confession. Take it with a grain of salt, just like you take his jailhouse confessions with a grain of salt. Right? Those things are just different. Those things are just different. But let's go back to it. Currently incarcerated at the Newcastle Correctional Facility, received a call from Davis advising he is in the same block as Ron Logan, owner of the land. Don't forget about that connection, that nexus. This isn't out of left field. This guy owns the vast private property where Abby and Libby were found. Logan confessed to us step by step. And to me, the things that jump out is the box cutters, right? The box cutters. That's either a great guess by this inmate who's looking for something, or it's an actual confession by a man who is no longer alive to defend himself. And I will remind you one more time, Barbara McDonald, Court TV senior producer, spent a lot of time with Ron Logan when she was covering and investigating this case, long conversations, and never once did he deny doing it. He never confessed to it. But what he said was, they can't prove it. He didn't say, I didn't do it. He said, they can't prove it. And that's where we are in all of this. And that's why we're talking about Delphi, despite the fact that there was a trial, a conviction, and a sentencing. Okay? So there was all of this, but despite the fact that there was all of this, and to me, that's a significant part of this. Providing information that is not public information. Now, obviously, this is a big story locally, and Logan may have been talking about it. And maybe he talked about just a piece of it, and then this person took it and added some information. Possible. I get it. It's very possible. All right. We get to here. And let's get to here. And we got a comment here from the ugly doctor. The correction is the box cutter part. At trial, expert mentioned box cutter for first time, and so did Logan's confession. That's my understanding, right? So, yeah. His confession and the expert. It's ugly. It's ugly. And there are issues in the way this case was handled from the beginning that I've talked about from the beginning, things I've never seen in any other case, like a judge trying to remove a defendant's counsel of choice. Why would you do that? That's like, I'm trying to protect you. This is the lawyer I want, right? That's kind of what the Constitution provides. And she tried to take him away. And they had to go to an appellate court to get reinstated on the case. I've never seen that before. That raised a lot of red flags with me. Again, I haven't seen the evidence against Richard Allen. I've heard about it. Some of it's seemingly very compelling, the confessions. I haven't seen or heard any of them. Why? Well, we were all banned from the courtroom. You had to be in Indiana, getting online to get those few seats. And obviously, I had Barbara McDonald from Court TV was there, providing all the information, but I didn't personally see it. So how can I have a strong opinion one way or the other? What I can have an opinion on is things that were excluded that normally would not be excluded, and questioning why are they excluded. Okay, a lot of comments on this, obviously. And I apologize for ambient noise and the wrong microphone working, like this one's not working and that one is working. We'll have it fixed for next time. This was just too important. I couldn't stop. Low blood sugar seems to have stabilized itself. Let me check. I think I'm thinking more clearly now. Am I thinking more clearly or am I imagining it? 1 second. Yeah, I'm back where I should be. Okay. And Ron Logan is dead. He's dead. All right. To me, we did this on Vinnie Politan Investigates last night, and my head's exploding. And there is evidence that makes Richard Allen look really guilty, like really guilty. Some of the timeline stuff. some of his alleged statements. But I want to see and hear it. I wanted to see and hear it so I could weigh it myself. Like, what did those confessions sound like? What was the context of those confessions? And it just makes me suspicious when we don't hear the whole story. And things that normally come in most of the trials, in most of the jurisdictions that I cover around the country for years and years and years on court TV, I've seen defense finger at people, and I'm like, why are you pointing the finger over there? There's like no evidence. And here, there is evidence. And this is evidence that was gathered not by the defense, but by the task force that was investigating this case. Spaghetti Lee. Love the picture, by the way. The FBI liked Logan for the crime. Yeah, there were people who were looking at Ron Logan. There were people that were looking at the Odinist. I don't know if there's any crossover between Ron Logan and Odinist. I have no idea. And then Richard Allen sort of came out of the blue. But Richard Allen, he puts himself there. Like it's Richard Allen's own words that convicted him for the most part. Putting himself there and the timing of when he put himself there. I found that compelling because he came forward when the picture of Bridge Guy became public. Like, oh, okay, yeah, I was there, and providing that information. Now, if he never came forward, would he have ever been charged, tried? Would someone else have been charged? This is the way I think about it. I'm like, if Richard Allen did not put himself there that day, would he have been charged? Likely not. I mean, he put himself there and it took him 5 years to figure this out according to their theory. So I don't think he ever would have been charged. Would someone else have been charged? Was there pressure to charge someone? And what if you charge the guy who's dead? Like, that's actually the easiest way out, right? There's pressure to solve the case. You solve the case, and someone who's dead can't defend himself. You say, yeah, it's closed. This is the guy. And then you're done. That may have been easier for him, but they didn't do that. And did they not do that because they didn't believe Ron Logan did it? I guess. This is the reason you have cameras and microphones in the courtroom. Because now I'm talking like this. Like if I saw the trial and I was convinced and there was evidence, like, oh, wow. Yeah, okay. Now I get it. But I can't get it because I didn't see it and I didn't hear it. This case, and there's others, but there's certain cases where transparency is needed. And the judge's perspective on this was backwards. Because all these people have been talking about the case, had theories about the case for years. And now someone's being tried and she doesn't want to add to all of this conspiracy. So I'm going to shut the cameras and the microphones out of the courtroom. You just amplified it. Like I said, Richard Allen may very well be guilty. I didn't see the trial. Did you? All right. All right. I usually go all the way back to the beginning, but I've been ranting so long that I can't go back to the beginning of all the comments. But I'm going to probably go to the more current ones. And I apologize if I missed your great comment. But there's there's a great conversation, and there has been from the beginning of this case. But the conversation is based upon bits and pieces of the story, bits and pieces of the evidence, because of gag orders, because of sealing things, because of non-public No electronics in the courtroom, no cameras in the courtroom. All of this makes it much more difficult to have any sense of trust in the result. Okay? Sleuthy Goosey, will last night's episode be available for us to watch? Usually, yes. Usually, Court TV YouTube has it. It also could pop up on courttv.com, but maybe on the YouTube channel. I'm not 100% sure when it'll get posted. Now this is interesting for Vicky Tucker, right? The truth could be somewhere in the middle. I think it's both Logan and Allen. Is that possible? Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. There's been no confession there. There's been no information or alleged statement made by Logan about Allen, and there's no indication that these two guys even know each other. But I don't know if anyone ever looked to see if there was a connection between the two. Miss T, Vinny, have the defense team come on, send them an invite. Had them on last night. Had them on the show last night on Court TV. Now, there's some things they can talk about. There's some things they can't talk about because they have active litigation going on and because of the orders. But they were pretty straightforward. And one thing that has really bothered the defense is the delay in having to fight for discovery. And every time they were delayed in getting something, it was always something that would help them. And that's called potentially Brady material, exculpatory material, material the defense believes demonstrates lack of guilt or innocence, right? And they felt like some of this stuff was being hidden from them and not handed over until they absolutely had to hand it over. And they were really troubled by this. And I'll be honest with you, I was a prosecutor. You are supposed to hand over everything. Here it is. That's the way we did in New Jersey. They got everything. They get it all. And if there's exculpatory material or potentially, see, it doesn't have to be per se exculpatory. If it's potentially exculpatory, you've got to give it to them. And you can't delay in giving it to them either. But what the defense is alleging is that it wasn't until the prosecution was cornered in a position where there's no way they couldn't give it up, and that's when they would give it up. They would delay it by months and months and months and months. And why are they doing that? Why are they delaying in handing over discoverable material that they are supposed to provide to the other side? Why are they doing that? And their argument is they're doing it because they're hiding the truth. That's their allegation, because they believe Richard Allen is not guilty. Ashley Bouchard, one of our moderators on Facebook, we can disagree without cursing at people. We can disagree without being disagreeable. Okay? Thank you, Ashley. The Unnamed True Crime Channel. We got to name it. We should name it. Vinny, you know Jason Jensen was the fact-finding investigator for the defense and has a lot of info you should get. Yeah, we are in contact with all those folks. By the way, he was in town last week. Was it last week? On the John Bonet case. That was a wild ride. Angela Hernandez on Facebook. Vinny, I love how you break things down and make it easy for us now attorneys here. Yes, attorneys and investigators. Okay. And Gloria on YouTube, in the picture that Vinny has up of the two men, the man on the right looks like Richard Allen, not Logan. And that's what you're saying there. Now, my understanding is some people have done an analysis of the bridge video to try to get some perspective of the height and everything. And some people have come to the conclusion that the bridge guy is a lot closer to Ron Logan than Richard Allen based upon height. But I'm not sure. I haven't done that analysis myself. You know, it was interesting. Let me see if I can find this. I have to find this. Oh, yeah, here we go. So this I just found this picture interesting. I'll make it big for you. This is Ron Logan. I think it was Inside Edition. Had him, you know, pose. Here, let me get rid of myself too. Had him pose like the bridge guy. And he actually did it. Like he did it. I don't know if they paid. I don't think they paid him, but is this the same guy? Because this is Ron Logan on the right. This is Bridge Guy on the left. Now, there's two things to this about Bridge Guy. And I think this is up for some sort of a debate as well. Is it 100% that Bridge Guy equals the person who did it? Does Bridge Guy equal the person who did it? I think that's an important question, because that's the analysis that's done here in this case, is that Richard Allen is the bridge guy. The bridge guy is the guy who did it. Therefore, Richard Allen is the guy who did it. Is it possible that it's not Bridge Guy who did it? Of course, anything's possible. Was the picture that was taken, was it purposely taken of the guy on the bridge? Or was the guy on the bridge just in the background of another picture that was being taken? I don't know. I wasn't in the courtroom. I didn't see it. And it hasn't been made public. All we have is this blow up image that was released. So was this purposely taken? Or was he in the background at the time and they happened to see him? Because when he says down the hill and we play that video, those are from two different times, right? So the down the hill is an audio recording. The video is pretty quick. It's just a few frames. That's why it looks like he has a gate. I'm not sure if he even has a gate. It's just the way the video is looping. But they're not at the same time. So he's not walking and saying down the hill. He's saying down the hill when he's closer to them. But is that the bridge guy? I don't know. They wouldn't show us the evidence. They haven't released the evidence in a public trial. Hasn't been done. So to me, that's an Indiana problem. Mrs. JMD, following the verdict, Richard Allen's reaction, body language equated to shock and potential innocence. Just my opinion. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. The jurors have opinions, and their opinion was he was guilty based on what they heard. But I'm not sure what they didn't hear. Gen X, this is not the place to smear other creators. We do not do that. We appreciate the true crime community. All has their own perspective, their own approach, and how they shine a light on and cover these cases. And you don't have to agree with their analysis. And you don't have to watch their streams. You can choose who you want. It's like television. Right? You don't like my show, you turn it, you put on, I don't know, Looney Tunes, whatever you want to watch. But yeah, our forum here, this is not a place where we are not at war. We don't want to condone any smearing of any other creators. I mean, you can disagree with their analysis, sure. You can disagree with me. I mean, I put up those types of comments all the time. Jennifer Sube, of course, one of our mod squad reminding you to watch Closing Arguments and Vinnie Politan Investigates beginning at 8 o'clock live tonight on Court TV. 2 hours of live true crime, only guy doing it on television, and all the help that I get here from the mod squad.
Order in the chat. Order in the chat. Don't dare attack. We've got order in this chat. The mod squad is on the job, helping us to keep it clean. The mod squad is on the job, always so nice and never mean. So let's give it up and say hello to the 3 amazing ladies running the show. Gen X, let's make some noise. Frankie Figs, let's clap our hands. And Jennifer Subay, let's raise the roof. Order in the chat.
All right, thank
Order
you.
in the chat. Don't dare attack.
Helping me out every day, whether I'm on streaming or not. Gen X, Frankie Figs, Jennifer Subay, and of course Ashley Bouchard over on the Facebook.
Helping us to keep it clean.
Keep it clean.
The mod squad is on the job, always so nice and never mean.
Never mean. Ha cha cha cha. I love that song. All right, let's get this back here. You can see it. All right, and Ashley saying this topic has everyone riled up. That's not Bridge Guy, says Laura. Okay. That's not Bridge Guy. Is Bridge Guy the guy who did it? Lauren Katie. It's Indiana. 90% of the men dress and look like Bridge Guy. How about that? How about that? And this is true from Mar R. BG. Bridge Guy is just a bunch of pixels. My understanding, the way it's been described to me, is that he's way in the background. And I guess there's a few frames. They took one still frame, zoomed up. It's like the van video. It's the same thing. It's like way in the background. You zoom in the best you can, and you try to figure it out. And Threads and Roses, Bridge Guy didn't do it. And Sour Girl is talking about the voice. His voice sounds like Ron Logan. That's an interest. See, to me, that audio of Down the Hill is so crackly and not clear. It's difficult, I think, to do a great analysis of it. Megan Diane, the girls took a video of Richard walking, and they put the phone down, and he told them down the hill, all the same video. Okay, I haven't seen the video. I hope you have, Megan, because that would make sense. My understanding, the way it was even displayed in the courtroom was not very clear. But if it's a continuous video, then that makes sense, right? Like if they're rolling on the Bridge Guy, then the Bridge Guy's coming, and then they put it down and it's still rolling, and you hear Bridge Guy approach and say something. To me, that's very compelling. Alder knows. I saw a video of Ron Logan walking. He had the same gait as Bridge Guy, even with the limp. Richard Allen does not walk the same way. There's two troubling things about Ron Logan. One, saying they can't prove it. That is no way that someone who didn't commit this horrific crime would say, oh, you can't prove I did it. What is that? Kindness cake. Where's the actual evidence that BG is the one, that Bridge Guy is the one, right? Because that's the analysis. Bridge guy is the one who did it. Richard Allen is bridge guy, therefore Richard Allen. It's like A equals B, B equals C, therefore A equals C. Like we learned that a long time ago. Was that algebra? I don't know if that was algebra. It's basic math, right? A equals B, B equals C, therefore A equals C. And that's the way they land on Richard Allen. All right. Ron Leach, Vinny, do you think they're covering up or just inept? I think there's a level of ineptness here. And that's just following them on their own theory of the case, that it's Richard Allen. Right? If it's Richard Allen, they're completely inept because Richard Allen called in a tip, like very close to when it happened, and put himself there. And why he wasn't placed immediately on a list of people who were there that day. And what were they more concerned about from Richard Allen that day when they questioned him? They were asking him about who else he saw there, not questioning him as a potential suspect when you had video of Bridge Guy the whole time, but instead asking him about who he saw. Weird, inept. Like, if you're trying to solve a crime and you're in Delphi, Indiana, and you're near the Monon High Bridge on a day when there is a finite number of people that were there that day, or potentially there, that were known to be there, that should be the list, and that should be a working list. Have we eliminated this one, this one, this one? Well, who was there that? What would be your first question? All right, you're new on the case. You come in. All right, boys, tell me, who was there that day? First question. We don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Who was there that day? Do we have a list of the people that were there? Well, let's talk to them all again. This case was cold for 5 years. Cold for 5 years. So inept. I'm leaning on inept. I'm troubled by the prosecutor in making this argument. That's problematic. That's just, turning things to try to fit your story. Like, you don't make arguments on things if you know they are not true. You can't do that. Maybe he doesn't believe that's the van. Maybe he doesn't believe the timestamp. Maybe he didn't know about the video. But now that he does, that's a problem. I mean, the timeline of when this happened is a big deal. It's a really big deal. They're saying Richard Allen was going to commit essay. It's interrupted by Brad Weber in his van because Richard Allen allegedly told the psychiatrist or psychologist, the prison psychologist, that he was interrupted by the van. But they're also arguing that the girls hid the phone purposely, knowing they had the evidence. And that the TOD 232 doesn't jive with that video if the video is true. Doesn't jive. All right. Christine, Facebook very active today. He was a tiny blip in the background. Law Junkie 33. No, state never presented evidence that Bridge Guy is the one who did it. Never. They suggested it. What do I mean by Indiana problem? The Indiana problem is the lack of transparency. The lack of transparency. In a public case, public trial. It's not a closed proceeding, and they have kept things under seal. They have banned cameras. They've put gag orders in place. They've done everything, including during the investigation, to suppress things from the public. And It's the judicial branch of the government. It's the government. It's the people. It's the people's government. They're not like, oh, the government, they're in charge. No, they all work for us. And the state of Indiana has not been transparent. And that leads to less trust in the system, less trust in the verdicts across the board. This case was like even before the trial. And now after the trial, it's exponentially growing the lack of trust. And part of your job when you're running a branch of the government is to instill trust in what you're doing, whether it's an elected lawmaker or a judge and a prosecutor. You need the public to trust what you're doing. Otherwise, it crumbles. It crumbles. And this is an ongoing discussion across the board these days with our government and our government entities. But in this context, it's Indiana. And Indiana, I think, acknowledged this in changing the laws to allow cameras in the courtroom, but left it in the discretion of the judge. All right. I'm just scrolling. All right, I'm a little bit behind. But I'm reading. Okay. This is MI passenger, not me. My passenger 33, bridge guy, is another lie courtesy of the state. April Diaz, never 100% sure, maybe 90%. 90%, depending upon your perspective, could be beyond a reasonable doubt. I think beyond a reasonable doubt is like 95. I think it's where you want to be. Justice Junkie, this is crazy. My gut says RA is innocent, right? My gut tells me that the best I can analyze the trial is I don't think this was a fair trial. And that's always my main concern. Like, I'm a former prosecutor. Almost everyone who gets charged is guilty. Almost everyone. It's just proven statistically through the guilty pleas and the verdicts, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And watching these trials, like, it's not a coin flip like Law and Order where, hey, they arrested somebody. Maybe they did it, maybe they didn't. No, usually they did it. But you just go back in time with all the problems with this investigation makes you trust it less. Because an arrest 5 years later is based upon something that you had within days. Within days, you had that information. Nothing changed. But it took you 5 years to get to where you should have been in like a week. That makes no sense to me. Makes no sense. So you get skeptical from the beginning. Jay Ryan, Vinny, would this nullify the probable cause affidavit? No, because it's a lower standard. Like probable cause. You can have probable cause with two different suspects. You can have probable cause for search warrants in two different places in two different directions of the investigation. And that's why our system is set up with the burden of proof that it has. Now, it's rare that you would have that. But there could be probable cause to question person A or search person A's home. There could be probable cause for an arrest for person A and for person B. There could be. There could be, because that standard is just so low. So it doesn't necessarily get nullified. What nullifies it is if someone else is convicted and it's gone. But thank you, Jay. This is a hot topic. This is a hot topic. Okay, Mickey, the juror claimed they didn't even consider the confessions or the bullet and still came to the guilty verdict beyond a reasonable doubt. That scares me. Oh, he puts himself there, right? He puts himself there. You know. The question is, and I always, and usually I'm making the argument from the other perspective, because normally the defense is attempting to suppress evidence from a case, trying to keep things out, keep this out, keep that out. And I would always argue, the more the jury has, the better the opportunity is for them to figure out the truth. Rather than hiding things from them, letting them see more is always better than seeing less. But we have the rules of evidence, which are interpreted within the guidelines of our Constitution, and Supreme Courts from states and from the Supreme Court of the United States have all set guidelines on what is admissible, and some things are in the gray area. What is troubling here, though, is that the evidence that's being suppressed is not things that would incriminate an accused, which is what those constitutional protections are for. This is evidence that would help the accused raise a doubt or provide evidence that someone else did it. I didn't do it. Look over here. And the prosecution wants that suppressed and away from the jury. It's not relevant because we didn't charge Ron Logan. It's not relevant. We don't believe this was odious. Okay, you don't believe it, but the defense does, and maybe the jury will. So in this particular case, I'm making a consistent argument for the jury to see more. It's just the people who want to provide more happen to be the defense, when it's usually the prosecution who wants to bring in more of this evidence. Oh, he did this, he did that, he said this, he said that. And the defense is like, no, jury can't see it. Jury can't see it. And then the judge makes the call. And usually the prosecution wins, but not always. In here, the defense is saying, we want to put some evidence in. We don't have a burden, but we want to put some evidence in. The prosecutor, no, jury can't see that. The jury, no, that's going to confuse the jury. It's not like it's pulled out of thin air. It's all a result of the investigation that was done in this case by the state. Great conversations, by the way. Great conversations today. Neal. Is it Neil or Neal Homestead? Thanks for having an open mind when looking at all evidence, even after a verdict. You're very smart. Thank you, Neal Homestead. I love the picture, by the way. Eyes wide open. That's the way we have to be. Keep the eyes wide open. Right? And what's interesting, the way we analyze stories and evidence and filings and information that we come across at Court TV for my show is not all of us on the show see everything the same. And I think that's great. I love the fact that I have some prosecutors, producers. I'm the only prosecutor. Some producers who are like, oh, no, this guy's definitely guilty, or this guy definitely didn't do it. I don't think he did it, or I think he did do it. And I might see it completely differently than they do. I want to put it all out there. I want all sides to talk about it. That's the nature of our system of justice. There's always at least two sides to a story. So I try to present it all. And when there's evidence out there, I'll base my opinions on whether someone did it or didn't do it on the evidence. That's the problem with this case. I didn't get to see it. Oh, Ashley Bouchard just throwing oil on the fire. Who's worse, Delphi or Canton? LOL. It's interesting because the two cases kind of were back to back, right? This is interesting. Mickey, big fan of yours. By the way, Vinny, you're my favorite to follow for these cases. If YouTube was big when I was in high school, I would have gone into law. Interesting. It's never too late, though. It's never too late. You can switch careers at any point. Although it appears like you're doing very well, Mickey, in whatever you're doing. So, fantastic. Charlotte, love me some Vinny Politan. Hi. See, if I did this during the Tangent podcast, Al would be rolling his eyes right now. All right. I've said what I had to say. I've put up what I've had to put up. But I've got to get ready for the rest of the day. So don't forget to watch the show. 8 o'clock tonight, closing arguments. Vinny Politan. We'll be talking. I think we're going to talk a little bit more about the Ponzi scheme case. You know, the case involving insulin, which I'm very familiar with. That'll be interesting. I will also. Wait a second, what am I doing? We got Vinny Politan Investigates as well tonight. We got a lot going on. All right. Yeah, if YouTube was around when I was in high school, I might not have gone to law school. I might be like Mr. Beast or something. All right. All right. So thank you, everyone, for watching. Big thank you to the Mod Squad doing an amazing, amazing job. I'm just looking for one other thing here. 1 second. I'm just quickly scanning. Quickly scanning. Quickly scanning. Quickly scanning. I'm looking for something in particular just to see if it's there, and I don't see it. I haven't seen it. All right. All right. So where are we in all this? Okay. So for those of you who've been watching from the beginning, you know we were delayed because I had a low blood sugar. So what happens when Vinny has a low blood sugar? When Vinny has a low blood sugar, he's got to take glucose, and he takes drinks. And he was really concerned about not being able to do this. So the question is, did he take too much glucose to elevate his blood sugar to a spot where it's a little higher than it normally is? Maybe I hit it just right. Or maybe he panicked because he knew that he had to get through this live stream and did not want to crash on you. So it's the time of the show where you will guess my blood sugar. Don't guess yet because the music hasn't started. 1 second. And I keep track. Each quarter, there'll be a quarterly prize. You can go to the Vinny Originale store and pick out whatever you want as your prize. Whoever can guess my blood sugar correctly the most times in a single quarter, which is every 3 months. Okay, so we'll be finishing this round at the end of March. But in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, with no further ado, it is time for you to guess my blood sugar.
Here's the type 1. Here's type 1. His pancreas is on first. He has diabetes, type 1 juvenile diabetes.
Hiya.
And so it's time to guess. Is more or less.
Coming in a little low right now.
What's his blood sugar? What's Vinny's blood sugar? Under 70, he gets like 10. Under 60, all the alarms start ringing. Over 180 he starts to get lethargic. But when it's 90, Vinny, eyes are singing. So it's time to guess, is more or less. What's his blood sugar? What's Vinny's blood sugar? But take a guess. Yes, take a guess. Let's guess Vinny's blood sugar now.
I haven't seen a correct one yet, so we're gonna have to replay it.
Here's the type 1.
No,
Here's type 1. His pancreas is on fruits. He has diabetes, type 1 juvenile diabetes. And so it's time to guess, is more or less. What's his blood sugar? What's Vinny's blood sugar? Under 70, he gets like 10. Under 60, all the alarms start ringing. Over 180, he starts to get lethargic. But when it's 90, Vinny, eyes are singing. So it's time to guess, is more or less. What's his blood sugar? What's Vinny's blood sugar? But take a guess. Yes, take a guess. Let's guess Vinny's blood sugar now.
I've seen some guesses that are off by like 1.
Here's the type 1.
The longest one ever.
Here's type 1.
Worst blood sugar I had.
His pancreas is on fruits.
I was low, and now I'm high.
He has diabetes, type 1 juvenile diabetes. And so it's time to guess,
Come on!
is more or less.
Somebody.
What's his blood sugar? What's Vinny's blood sugar? Under 70, he gets like 10. Under 60, all the alarms start ringing. Over 180, he starts to get lethargic. But when it's 90, Vinny, eyes are singing. And so it's time to guess, is more or less. What's his blood sugar? What's Vinny's blood sugar?
Hilarious.
But take a guess.
So many.
Yes, take a guess. Let's guess Vinny's blood sugar now.
You know what's amazing? This is the amazing part. This is why I love this audience. I love this community. I am just talking about my blood sugar right now, and we still have 3,200 people watching, live streaming on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch, and on X. So thank you so much for sticking with me. And don't be concerned about the 172. It's already on its way down, and I'll be fine. But it was low before the show. We delayed the start, and then I glucose to myself. So, but I'll be fine. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you for watching. Thank you for the great comments, the great conversation. And now, once again, I will play the theme song that is always controversial, but now has a new video to it. Enjoy. Have a great day. And please don't forget to hug the kids.
Get ready. Inside the chat, get ready for the prosecutor hot kick set. To like and to subscribe, let's go. It's time for Vinny.